While it is now generally accepted that Igbo history is up to 8,000 years old, current archaeological discoveries tell us it is much older. For centuries, the Igbo have been known for their vibrant culture, resilience, and innovation. But how far back does this story go? Archaeologists studying sites in Okigwe, Nsukka, and Igbo-Ukwu have uncovered startling evidence: iron-smelting furnaces, pottery fragments, and copper works dating back to hundreds of thousands of years. These discoveries rival anything from Europe or Asia of the same period. I compiled a list of some of the published archaeological finds in Igboland. I'll put a link to download the list in the description. In this video, we will put aside myths and oral traditions to focus on what the archaeology of Igboland reveals about the Igbos. We will look at discoveries in key archaeological sites. And finally, using the reports from scientific dating, we will answer the question, how old is Igbo civilization? Please take a moment to support me by subscribing and switching on your notifications to keep up to date with new content. Thank you. The Igbo people are one of the major ethnic groups in Nigeria. Primarily located in the southeastern region of the country, they inhabit areas spanning present-day states like Anambra, Imo, Enugu, Abia, Ebonyi, and parts of Delta and Rivers. Before colonial rule, the Igbo lived in decentralized communities, often organized into village groups or clans. These communities were largely egalitarian, with decision-making shared among elders, age grades, title holders, and sometimes powerful women's assemblies. The ancient Igbo economy was based on farming, with yam as a central crop, alongside palm oil production, fishing, hunting, and regional trade. Prior to European contact, Igbo trade routes are said to have stretched as far as Mecca and Medina in the Middle East. Culturally, the Igbo were deeply spiritual, with belief systems centered around ancestral worship, oracles, and deities. With regards to their origin, the Igbo people have three main traditions of origins. You can watch my video on where the Igbo people came from to find out more about the fascinating origin theories of the Igbo. For centuries, much of Igbo antiquity was preserved in myths, folklore, and oral traditions. Archaeology, however, is now shedding light on how ancient and advanced the Igbo society truly was. The earliest recorded find was an accidental discovery in a small compound in Igbo-Ukwu in Anambra State. In 1938, a local man named Isaiah Hanezi was digging a well in his compound when he stumbled upon bronze vessels and ornaments. At first, these artifacts were passed around among his neighbors. But soon word spread. Colonial officials such as John Field, an assistant district officer, purchased several of the bronzes, and he also published this report on them in the Monthly Record of Anthropological Science in January 1940. By 1946, some of these items had entered the National Museum in Lagos, while others were taken to the British Museum. To everyone who saw them, the bronzes were unlike anything they had ever encountered. The English archaeologist Thurston Shaw later remarked that they were utterly unlike the work of either Benin or Ife. Their age and affinities and the reason for their burial in the ground remained a mystery. To solve this mystery, the Nigerian Department of Antiquities invited Shaw to lead a formal excavation in 1959. Over the next several years, Shaw explored three key areas, each named after the compounds where artifacts had first been found: Igbo Isaiah, Igbo Richard, and Igbo Jonah, all in the town of Igbo-Ukwu. At Igbo Isaiah, Shaw uncovered a mass of bronze, copper, glass, and ceramic artifacts lying about 40 to 70 centimeters deep. Protected for centuries by a compound wall, these objects had remained undisturbed. The finds were staggering: over 64 kilograms of cast bronze and copper, along with more than 63,000 glass and carnelian beads. Shaw concluded that this was no ordinary storage, it was likely a shrine or ritual storehouse, a place where ceremonial objects and regalia were deliberately kept. Only 30 meters away, in a second site, Igbo Richard, Shaw's team unearthed something even more remarkable. Beneath layers of broken pots and cisterns, they found human remains. Some belonged to multiple individuals, but deeper still, about 3.5 meters below the surface, lay the remains of a single figure, buried in a seated position upon a wooden stool. This individual was adorned with extraordinary regalia, beaded wristlets and anklets, a pectoral ornament, and a copper crown. Everything about the burial suggested high status, possibly that of a priest king, an Eze-Nri, a wealthy Oza title holder, or another ritual authority. While scholars debate the precise identity, all agree that this was a burial of immense spiritual and political significance. The third site, Igbo Jonah, contained one of the most striking pieces of Igbo-Ukwu art, the ritual pot decorated with deep concentric circles and sculpted animals. Alongside it were animal bones, charcoal, and smaller bronze fragments. The evidence suggested that this pit had been dug specifically for ritual depositions. Taken together, the finds from Igbo Isaiah, Richard, and Jonah represent one of the richest archaeological discoveries in all of Africa at the time. The sheer quantity of copper and bronze, the extravagant number of beads, and the artistry of the castings remain unique in West African archaeology. The bronzes, crafted with lost wax casting techniques, reveal technical mastery that was centuries ahead of their time. According to carbon-14 dates, Igbo-Ukwu metallurgical industry can be dated to about the 9th century AD, that is, over 1,000 years ago. When we talk about the roots of civilization, iron technology often marks a turning point. Ironworking remains have been discovered across Nigeria, but none compared to what archaeologists uncovered in Nsukka, in both volume and variety of techniques. Across the area, evidence of prehistoric iron smelting was found at Hopi, Owerri, Oba, Omondo, and Lejja. These sites reveal that iron smelting in Nsukka was widespread, diverse, and highly advanced. Sadly, time and harsh weather have destroyed much of the fragile residues. What survives are the tough remains, furnace pieces, two-year pipes, and slag blocks, which are almost indestructible and survive to tell the story of an industry that once thrived. One of the most important Iron Age sites lies at Hopi, just 7 kilometers southeast of Nsukka town in Enugu State. Archaeologists first discovered early iron smelting remains here in August 1983. Scattered across Hopi were large cylindrical blocks of slag and two-year fragments, clear evidence of iron production. From the furnaces, scientists took charcoal samples, and the results were astonishing radiocarbon dates of 2,500 to 2,770 years old. That means iron smelting in Hopi dates as far back as circa 750 BC. Further surveys uncovered major iron smelting sites at Hopi's Hafa Market, the Customary Court, the foot of Hopi Hill, and Odonanso Hopi Village Square. The largest concentration was found at the foot of Hopi Hill, covering an area of over 21,500 square meters, that's about the size of 3 standard football fields. At Odonanso Hopi Village Square, the ancient slag blocks had been transformed into shrines and ritual objects. Also because slag is nearly indestructible, locals used it in construction, building foundations, roads, and walls. To this day, in several places in Hopi and Oguogu in Okigwe, slag blocks can still be found in the foundations of houses. Studies show that the Hopi smelters focused only on smelting the raw iron. They sold the extracted iron mass, known as bloom, to blacksmiths from neighboring towns. These blacksmiths then forged the iron into tools, weapons, and ornaments. The division of labor between smelters and smiths reveals an organized economic network that stretched far beyond Hopi. Archaeologists also noted that smelters would relocate their furnaces once they exhausted the raw materials in an area. This explains why slag mounds and furnace remains are spread across multiple sites within the Nsukka area. Like Hopi, Lejja is one of the Iron Age sites in Nsukka, Enugu State. Lejja is a cluster of 33 villages where, thousands of years ago, iron was smelted on a scale so massive that it could only be described as an ancient industry. Scattered across Lejja are remains like slag blocks, furnace remains, two-year fragments, and broken pieces of smelting debris. According to the Hebrew scholar and African history researcher, Dr. Sidney Davis, there is nowhere else in the world that has anything close to Lejja. The most striking evidence lies at the heart of the community in Otobo Dunoka, the village square of Lejja. Here, the past sits in plain sight. Over 800 blocks of iron slag are arranged in neat rows, and used as seats during village meetings. These are the byproducts of iron smelting, left behind centuries ago. Archaeological dating has revealed that the site goes back to around 2000 BC, making it one of the oldest iron smelting sites not just in Nigeria, but in the entire world. It also holds the highest known concentration of iron slag blocks in sub-Saharan Africa. Why have these slag blocks survived, even after thousands of years? The answer lies in both nature and culture. Slag is almost indestructible, but more importantly, Lejja traditional taboos forbid tampering with or removing these blocks. For generations, they have remained untouched, preserved as both monuments and sacred symbols. Lejja does not have just one archaeological site. Surveys have revealed ancient domestic sites and ancestral sites. The sheer scale is staggering. Archaeologists have uncovered domestic sites filled with pottery shards and everyday artifacts, indicating that Lejja was densely inhabited for a long time. Some pot shards carried decorations made with roulette designs, maize cob patterns, and knotted fiber impressions. These fragments give us a glimpse into the artistry and daily life of Lejja's ancient inhabitants. At 2000 BC, the radiocarbon dates obtained from Lejja were far older than most iron-smelting sites in Nigeria, as well as in Africa. It challenges long-held assumptions about when and where large-scale iron technology first emerged. In the quiet community of Ugwuele, in Uturu in Abia State, archaeologists made one of the most extraordinary discoveries in African prehistory. Beneath its hills and quarries, they discovered a site that has been described as the largest Stone Age factory in the world. The story of Ugwuele came to light in October 1977, when quarrying activities dug up strange stones that drew the attention of archaeologists. They were not ordinary stones, but Stone Age tools like hand axes, cleavers, picks, and knives in industrial quantities. Archaeologists found evidence of an organized, large-scale workshop, a place where early humans crafted tools that may have been distributed far beyond Igboland. Many of the tools found at Ugwuele resemble the famous Acheulean tools used by early humans across Africa, Europe, and Asia. The sheer number of broken tools scattered across the site suggests that the area was primarily a workshop, that is a factory where tools were chipped and flaked from dolerite rock, a hard material perfect for tool making. Researchers believe that groups of early humans, possibly Homo erectus, camped here for long periods, taking advantage of the abundant raw materials. They shaped hand axes, cleavers, and picks, tools essential for survival. The initial carbon dating of the site revealed astonishing results. Ugwuele is cautiously dated to circa 250,000 BC. Some studies even suggest it could belong to the later phase of the Acheulean culture, nearly 500,000 years ago. This places Ugwuele among the oldest human habitation sites in the world. Its importance becomes even clearer when seen in context. In 2002, French paleontologists discovered fossil remains of an Australopithecus dated to 3.5 million years ago in Chad's Jurub Desert. Igboland's proximity to this region suggests that sub-Saharan Africa was inhabited much earlier than once believed. The Ugwuele landscape is not only rich in tools, but also in cultural and natural landmarks. Ancient shrines, sacred groves, caves, and rock shelters all dot the area, giving us clues to how the early humans may have lived. Researchers have suggested that one of these sites, the Isihuma cave in Ngodo Uturu, could be one of the oldest caves in Nigeria, and possibly in the world. Every detail of the archaeology of Ugwuele points to a community that was once bustling with life and industry. Ugwuele challenges the way we think about history. The amount of artifacts and broken shards left behind tells us that Igboland was not just part of the Stone Age story, but one of its industrial centers. So, how ancient are the Igbos? Well, archaeology has traced Igbo history to the Stone Age, and that is at the very least around 250,000 years ago. I believe that in Igboland, we find one of the greatest secrets of Africa's past. As we journey through the land, from the great iron-smelting centers of Nsukka and Lejja to the vast Stone Age factory of Ugwuele, one truth becomes clear. This is only the beginning of discovery. What we know today is that majority of ancient sites in Igboland remain undiscovered. Even Ugwuele, hailed as the largest Stone Age factory in the world, has only been partially studied. Its incomplete excavations have sparked debate and conflicting opinions among historians worldwide. Yet, the tools unearthed there indicate a possibility too great to ignore, which is that while historians have long looked to the Nile Valley region as the beginning of civilization, it might actually be the Niger Valley region. It is now up to us, Nigerians, to push for research in Igboland. For hidden beneath the soil of Igboland, may lie the missing chapters of humanity's earliest story. Thanks for watching.